You'll find the streams on the TaylorvilleDailyNews.com Facebook or on YouTube at WTIM TV. I'm very pleased to welcome back Superintendent of Central A&M School District, Dr. Deanne Heck. Great to have you back, Dr. Heck.
Nice to be here, Avery.
It's great to see you in person. It feels like I haven't seen you since before the holidays. So catch me up a little bit. What's been going on between winter and as you head into spring? What would you like to highlight?
You know, we've just been keeping on the days, right? Trying to hope and pray we don't have any snow days because we want to get out in the mid-May,
Yeah.
And we haven't. We had one e-learning day. We had that snowstorm that came through, and we were able to see it coming, and we took an e-learning day instead of an emergency day, which is kind of fun.
Right. And which does it require a snow makeup day at the end of the year?
Exactly. E-learning does not require a makeup day.
And that's right. Nobody has to go out on the roads, but also you still get to go out of school for the summer at the same time.
Right.
It's a good compromise.
Absolutely. I think so too.
Yeah. Well, let's see, it is March and you are out in May. That means there's only 2 months left. So you're getting ready for the end of the school year right now. That must be a little bit jarring.
It is a little bit jarring. It is just part of the job. We are closing down and gearing up actually for next year. Now we're starting to talk about registration, and we have like preschool and kindergarten screenings coming up really soon. And I know it's weird for parents to think about that what are we looking at next year for? And we are still closing out this year. You know, track is started and baseball started. Was supposed to start Monday, and we had a baseball softball. We had a cancellation.
I think it was really cold.
It was so cold and windy. If the wind isn't bad, they can do it.
Right.
I am a fair weather baseball softball fan, but I do like a good sunshine.
By every extension of fair weather.
Exactly. So that's our plan. We just keep moving forward and finishing out the year. Kids are getting ready for graduation. And
that's funny that you mentioned pre-K and kindergarten registration and screenings and stuff, because that's exactly where my mind went when it comes to this time of year.
Yeah.
What do you want parents to know about pre-K, kindergarten screenings?
Well, I think it's so important that you bring your kids to those screenings. And for Central A&M, ours is for the preschool screening. It's Wednesday, March 22nd. So next Wednesday from 12 to 7. And kindergarten screening is Wednesday, April 26th. So a month later. But interestingly enough, kids need to be screened so we can see where their levels are. You know, and it's important to know whether they can. I mean, some kids at 4 can tell you the whole alphabet, and some can't tell you barely their name. So it just depends on the child, and that really affects how we teach them.
How many pre-K centers, for lack of a better term, do you have in Central A&M School District?
We actually have 2 classes of pre-K, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So we're not a huge pre-K, but we also do the screening for the other area preschools. So there's one at the Christian Church in Moequa. There used to be one in Assumption, but actually that one is no longer. But yeah, we do the screening for them as well.
Okay. So it sounds like it doesn't matter where the parent wants to take the kid for pre-K. You are there and you say, come to our screenings anyway, because we'll help you find the best fit.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay. What about is there anything that folks should know if they are enrolling their kid into kindergarten?
But the same thing, especially if they have not been in pre-K, it's important that they do have their kindergartner screened. And, you know, pre-K is not mandatory. And I think it's important that parents know that you don't have to send them to pre-K. If it's something that you want to do, that's great. But kindergarten, you know, by the time a child is 7, they're supposed to be in school. So.
Right. And I'm just kind of thinking about the line. You mentioned how pre-K isn't mandatory, but oftentimes educators recommended to get them a head start on kindergarten. I guess, and I think you've kind of alluded to it a little bit more, but to ask it a little bit more clearly, what kind of if any, are there kids at 3, 4 that aren't really a good fit for a pre-K educational setting?
You know what? Really no, because even if they're low, that's the best time to get them into pre-K, because we can help build them back up, get them learning their colors and learning their they don't really do numbers and letters totally. That's really more of a
I think
kindergarten
by the
thing.
end
But
of pre-K, I learned to write my name.
yes,
Like by the end of it.
yes. And you know what? There's something to be said for learning to sit and have conversation with other kids. Socialization is probably the biggest part of pre-K. Play, how to play with others and learn to share.
Sounds like you are really pitching that part too of pre-K as a reason to do it, not just the learning. You
Right.
might be able to teach them learning, but you won't be able to provide them that socialization at home.
Exactly. It's just so huge. And kids are like adults, we all have different personalities. So there are some kids that it's more difficult to learn that socialization. And there are kids that we need to maybe tone down their socialization a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you
Just
mean.
some talkers.
Well, is there anything else that folks should know about pre-K or kindergarten as you get into that screening period?
No, just if you have questions, just give us a call and we can, steer you to the right screening, whether it's kindergarten or pre-K.
Okay. And another place where my mind goes when I think of this time of the year is standardized testing and everything. How's that going? When is it? Is it already passed? What's up there?
Well, it's actually the whole month of March. We have finished at the middle school, and our grade school, our Gregory Intermediate School, will be doing theirs within the next week or so. And yeah, it's, I am a firm believer that it is a snapshot of what our kids know. It is not everything they know. And honestly, I think we put too much weight on it. So I always tell my teachers and my staff, we're not going to teach to the test. It doesn't matter, because we know that it's not all that our kids know.
Yeah. And I guess what I want to know along those lines too, some school districts kind of formulate their own sort of test to kind of see where they are based on their own metrics. Do you have something like that at Central A&M School District?
We do. We actually test them 3 times a year with a program called FastBridge, and it's an assessment tool just to see what they have been learning and where they are in relationship to what the goals are and where their peers are.
And you mentioned it. It's a snapshot. And if I may kind of add to that a little bit more, it's not the mural, right? It's not the big
Exactly.
picture of everything that they're learning and stuff. But when you look at those standardized testing scores, how much do you use that to say, okay, this is an area to focus on for next year? How much, I guess, taking that into account, that it's only a snapshot.
Right. You take in everything. So you look at that piece, but you also look at like I said, the assessment piece that we do in-house, and you look at their day to day. What are they learning? Are they able, because there are kids that really don't take tests well, but they know what they know. I mean, they know what they've been taught, and they can tell you, but they might not be able to put it down on paper. So all of those things come together to formulate that next step with each kid. That's why every child should have an individualized learning plan. They really should.
Is that something that you at Central A&M School District help formulate with them at any point?
We strive to get each child to work with each individualized child, because you can have kids at the same level, but they're not the same kid. So everything is different for that child. So we work with that individual child.
Excellent. Is there anything I'm missing here in terms of the mural of standardized testing that we haven't covered yet?
No, I think you did. I think you've done it well. I like the
Okay.
word mural,
Yeah.
because it really is. It's a painting
Right.
of a child.
Right. Just the picture is just the snapshot, or the standardized testing is a snapshot, but the learning as a whole is a much bigger picture.
It is.
And I have Superintendent Dr. Deanne Heck in studio talking about Central A&M School District at the end of the year and focusing towards next year. All right, here on the WTIM Morning Show. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. WTIM.
Your information station. WTIM.
It's the WTIM morning show. I'm Avery Cooper, your host. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm Central A&M Superintendent Dr. Deanne Heck in studio right now, and we're talking about the end of the school year and looking ahead to next school year a little bit. Speaking of the end of the school year, it's not really the end of the school year, but kind of the end part of the sports season. There's a lot of sports going on right now. So, Dr. Heck, I want to know, let's see, you got your baseball, your softball, your track, your kind of traditional sports seasons, golf even. What other sports do you guys have during the springtime?
We do have some bass fishing going on. I think they do more in the fall, but I do believe there's some, I mean, fishermen fish all year round, right? So bass fishing, we have our musical coming up, which I believe it's April 15th and 16th. I think that's the Saturday and Sunday weekend, and it's High School Musical this year is what they're putting on.
Like Disney's High School
Disney's High School Musical. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So lots of work going into that. Like you mentioned, softball and baseball, that's the high school, and because middle school has that in the fall. Track is going on for all ages, and there's just a lot of sports going on. Golf is in the fall as well. We don't have middle school golf. I think that is this season right now, but lots of stuff. And in the spring there's often a lot of rain, which means that you schedule more than you anticipate you might do.
Yes.
So
I can completely relate with that as someone who broadcasts some of those games. We definitely schedule more than we expect to broadcast.
Right.
Let's go back to your play. How many plays a year do you guys usually host?
We just do one. We do one
okay.
musical a year, and it's in the spring always. And it's for both high school and middle school. So high school students can try out for it. Middle school students, it's just, we incorporate all into one.
I'm sure they've already picked out the cast and everything, and they're rehearsing and getting ready for April.
They are.
Right.
They are. They're in the midst of that.
Good. Okay. So let's see. Can we find ticket information at this point right now?
No, it's not out yet.
Okay.
But it will be. So when start watching Facebook, I think is where they advertise it a lot. But it should be the middle of April is the dates of the musical.
As a whole, when you look at these plays and musicals every year, I know you are very in tune with arts and entertainment and theater. What can you say about your very own theater department?
We're small, but kids and adults who love theater, it's kind of the old mantra, hey kids, let's put on a show. And there's just so much camaraderie and fun and work involved in that. And it's fun to be able to direct them. And I'm not the director, but I was a director. That's what I did. And it's just fun to watch them bloom and blossom into young actors.
Well, I see you in High School Musical, Dr. Heck.
You will see me at High School Musical, but not in High School Musical.
No, all right, fine. We won't give you any solos or anything like that.
No.
Dr. Heck, what else do you have coming up at Central A&M School District in terms of registration for next year? I know we've kind of covered pre-K and kindergarten, but is there anything else that folks should know about older kids?
Actually, just keep watching for the registration. We're going to try to we've been doing it online for quite a few years now. And so we're hoping to get that out like the middle of May for next year so we can start the process. We usually wait until August, but we talked about doing it earlier this year, which is a really, it helps out my secretaries and they're able to and it helps out my principals because they could put kids in the right classes and get them going.
Forgive me for a moment. I'm going to go into back in my day mode for a moment. But back in my day when I was entering middle school or high school, somewhere along those lines, you had to have certain vaccinations like tetanus and stuff like that. Is that still
Oh,
prevalent?
yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what kind of stuff and deadlines for those vaccinations?
Usually you have until October to get those. So, but we really encourage parents to get them over the summer.
Mm.
And it's kindergarten has to have vaccinations, 6th grade and then freshman year, I believe,
Okay.
are I may be missing one in there, but
Okay.
I think that's where all of the, you know,
Mhm.
medical stuff comes in.
Right.
They do have to have a dental exam, and that's also the kindergarten. That's kindergarten 2nd, 6th, and 9th. And we have the dentist coming on Friday, April 14th for anybody who hasn't had their checkup yet
Oh,
and who wants to do it through the school.
excellent.
So they can just call our school nurse and get that information. And there's information on the website for that.
That's really cool. Is that something you guys have done for quite some time?
It is.
Oh, cool.
We've done it for several years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, what do you feel is the advantage of that before we go? This is my last question.
Honestly, I think it's so parents, it's hard to make appointments, especially if you have more than one student, you know? And so if you really need to get them in, that, you know, that you have that ability at school.
All right. That is Superintendent Dr. Deanne Heck of Central A&M School District. Thank you so much, Dr. Heck. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Always enjoy it.
Always enjoy having you in studio. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. You'll find the streams on the TaylorvilleDailyNews.com Facebook or on YouTube at WTIM TV. It's the WTIM Morning Show on WTIM, your information station, or online at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.